Well, I probably am only going to need a couple of brushes for this one too. I've got another little set of Pro Art brushes here which are rather nice, just ordinary rounds. I'll need my mop certainly. I can do most of the work with a mop and probably finish off with one or two small round brushes. So I'm going to be working very much wet into wet on this picture today because of these beautiful rays of light, and I want these mottled, dappled effects coming right down and through. Probably a little bit of dry brush work down here as well. And I guess this is how we could set up for painting. Ready-made cat, hand and palette. I wonder if we could use its paws to paint with. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. What are you doing? What are you doing hiding under there, kitty puss? Yes, nice little one's it there. Right, we'll get set up for painting. You've got to move, cat. Right, working on the vertical, and I'm going to work wet into wet, so I've got to totally soak my paper at first. I'm working a slight tilt here, which is going to give me a small run to the paint. I don't want it to be too rainy looking, too much of a storm. I'm going to paint right through here. It really doesn't matter if because I'm going to be painting the boat dark over anyway. It really doesn't matter about that at all. But first of all, I want to get my paper totally wet. It's a bit of a dull day today, so I'm having a job to see just where the paper's shining. But nice big mop, and want to gradually build up these mottled effects wet into wet without it trickling down the paper too much and being too stormy. Right, now the colours I'm going to need are mainly my blues and greys. I'm going to start off with a little bit of cerulean this time, up here for the blue sky in the corner there. A little bit of cerulean just coming up quite lightly. Now, I don't want this to, we must remember that these paints always dry lighter than when we put them on, so I'm going to be a little bit stronger with them than you might expect, just letting it mottle out there. Look, cerulean, lovely colour, and remember that I want to leave lots of white showing, so I've got to dapple this in between, leaving little bits of white clouds showing. You see it's trickling downwards because of the weight of gravity taking the paint down. And I want to be very thin. I'm going to take some cobalt violet for down here where these rays of sunlight are, and totally paint this area with the cobalt violet for the minute. All around this cloud up here, letting that trickle right down and through, because I'm going to want this cobalt violet gleaming through right down to the boat. Here, go right down over my sails and everything else. We're getting that myself, but I could, of course, because I'm painting darker later, I can go right down over everything here. This cobalt violet's going to be the rays of sunlight coming through a bit later, so a little bit stronger up here. So this area, I'm going to try and keep this wet. It's getting hard edged, so I must work faster because I do want lots of wet into wet. Coming down here, it is drying out a bit, which is not what I want. Now then, start to work up the greys. I'm going to want a little bit of raw sienna, a little touch of blue into that, a little touch of just a little touch of ultramarine, not much. Don't want it green. I'll let that mottle in here, leaving that white sky showing. It comes across some of it there, so I've got plenty of white left behind for this sky. Just dabbing it, as you see, on there, and just making sure that I don't take too much white out. And we just start to get this effect of these rays coming through down here as I start to darken down a bit. Right, back to the raw sienna again, and start dabbing that in so we get these lovely dark yellows just coming into here. Just a little bit more. I know it's going to lighten out, so I'm not too worried. Right through down to the clouds, coming down here. And the light just shining through. It's a lovely effect to get, isn't it? And quite different to many of the styles you've seen me do. It's nice to paint something different, isn't it? It's nice for me to be able to do something slightly different here as well. Coming down the yellows over here. I'm going to put a little bit of aureolin yellow down here. A bit yellower yellow if you like. I want that just shining through light. To go against, to foil against the warmer yellow. So again, I'm going to bring that yellow up into here a bit as well. Quite colourful. And I'm going to then take some of the ultramarine, mix it with that same wash I just had, the yellow. So I'll use it up. A bit stronger now. Get that ultramarine working. And a little bit of burnt sienna, because this is where we start to get the blue greys. And let's see if we can start to dabble those on. And again, it's very wet here. I don't want it to spread too far. It's going to trickle a bit. Coming up through into here. I've got to leave some light shining through. If I do too much, all my light's just going to disappear. We don't want that. Letting it come up into through here. Just blending gently across the light like that. So I get this effect of light shining through. And it'll come darker into there again in a moment, so I don't want to be too strong with it yet. Just feeling these greys. It's a bit warmer perhaps in the upper sky there. A little bit warmer up here. And right the way along there, mottling in. There we go. It's a lovely effect with the sky. A bit warmer again, a bit browner here. And down. Mottled effects. So not, this is the thing with watercolour. It's not about teaching watercolour. I can show you how, but you have to practice with the watercolour to get the feel of just how much it's going to spray and what you can and can't do. You can only do that by practice, and when you get the feel of it, this is why I know I can just tickle these bits on here and gradually get stronger look. Becoming stronger and stronger. Quite warm down there. Up here as well. Got this lovely mottled effect and the light shining through. A little touch of purple there, I reckon. A little touch of purple coming into it. We use all sorts of colours today. But yeah, just to give it a bit more mauve effect in the corner here. Coming down through and through these clouds. I'll put that mauve up into here as well. Lovely dark cloud. And I'll come stronger in a moment with the yellows there. Come stronger in a moment with the blues there. Right, we'll let that dry down a bit. Now I've got to come right down to here. I'm going to come back with my bluer colour, so I need more of the ultramarine. Because it's very blue just around here. And we've got these rays of light coming down, so I've got to start to feel those. Just blend in. It becomes quite dark through this bit here. And right through to there with this stronger cloud there. It's great fun painting skies like this, it really is. And we could just keep painting skies all day, I guess, if you really like this, you really enjoy doing them as I do. Darker and darker with the colours as it progresses, working the wet into the wet, which lets that light shine through. Look at a magnificent sky we can get this way. Keeping it wet, not letting it get out of control. Light shining through there, the lovely lump of cloud comes up through here. Bits of light coming down through there. It gets softer and softer here, right through there. This beautiful light coming down, right down through here. It doesn't matter if we come through the boat, but find the boat again later. And it gets lighter as it comes through. This effect of the light. Very gentle clouds coming in the background there. I should go stronger here in a moment, just feeling these clouds and the light through to the background. Just drag that through a bit and get the effects of light. I'm going to come out and drag that out again a bit more in a minute. Just want a little bit more of the cerulean dropping in here. There we are. Now I've got to make darker still for my clouds. It's amazing how dark we've got to go. And more ultramarine. And in fact, I'm going to add a little bit of Prussian in now, just a bit, to really start to get these darks. And I do want to go quite strong here. Down into there, wonderful colours. Much stronger blue there, much stronger. It really does get very strong right down to the base here. Coming through there. I'm going to lift some out in a minute as well, because I want to get this feeling of the rays of light coming down through here that I've lost a bit. Come back up into the wet there. It's still damp enough to go to put this colour on and let it trickle. Isn't it a lovely way to paint? Really ought to have a go at. You can do sunsets and all sorts this way, because you've got that much control. It's what we call controlled accident, which sounds a bit of a dichotomy, but it is. You know, we're controlling where the accidents happen, but I haven't got complete control and mastery over it. I don't want that either. I really want to see this developing by the accidental effects. Stronger and stronger and stronger as I go along, building up these beautiful layers. And then it's just timing, because it'll just become too wet if I just keep doing this. So there has to come a time where I say, right, that's enough. Now we leave to dry more. If I want to put a few more darks on, they have to go on at the end. You can see it's just starting to dry down a bit now. Now, at this stage, I'm going to try a few more darks on yet, it's a little bit darker. It's just going to sound like I'm going to try something else, but I'm just going to do a little bit more yet. A little bit more of that purple in. Just needs a bit more mauve here and there, I think. These darker clouds. I really do want to get I know it's going to dry lighter, that's why, and I daren't let it, I don't want it to dry too light. There we are, we get these beautiful, nice dark effects now. That's it, that's what I was after. And down into here as well, so more of that purple, a little more of the brown, a little bit darker, the blue. I'll just try and get some of these really dark stormy layers coming through here. Right, now I'll try and do what I was going to do. This paper's a bit absorbent. I've got a load of waterford here that I'm using, and it's rather old, and I've got a feeling that due to that the glue size has got problems. Let's see if I can lift out with a clean brush some of the rays of light coming through here, look. So I'm cleaning my brush off and squeezing it out a bit, and trying to lift out some of this paint that comes down through here to give the effect of the rays of sunlight that come beautifully down through here. So I'm just managing to do it enough. It's not lifting out a lot, but it's just enough to give me what I want. Right down through here. I'm taking some of this out as well here. If I can lift out a bit more. Lovely rays coming down. And we're dragging some of the dark down as well in doing this. Look at this lovely sky we can get. Absolutely gorgeous. Just love playing with it. There we go. And that's our sky done on that. I might just have a little bit more here and there, just a few more bits of light just coming through, I think, here. There we go. Now I've got to let that dry off, but while I'm waiting I can be going on to paint the water here. And again I'm going to use a more yellow. I'm going to use some of this lovely aureolin yellow. At first wet into wet because I want to get a soft blending of colours. Then I'm going to have to let it dry if I want to do any dry brush work on it. I need a little bit more cerulean up here it seems. Yes, just a little bit more cerulean, stronger there in places. And here and there. There we are. Got two bits here and there as well. The cerulean, I may even need just the tiniest touch of cobalt coming in at the side. See the difference that can make. Right, where was I? I was down there. I was just wetting the paper. Let's see how it's cockling up this paper, but it'll hopefully dry out flat. So let's get a nice light cream coming down here, right through. Such a feeling of atmosphere, can't we? I'm going to take some of that cobalt violet and add that in. Get a bit more warmth going on in some of the water. Just flicking it across to get the feeling of these ripples. Just want to get it coming into the, not totally covering, but it's just linking in between with these ripples, swirls. Nasty bit of fur on there, come off. That's it, now I've got to let that dry off before I can do my final detailed work over the top. Right, I'm going to take one of these brushes now, in fact, which is a flat, and these brushes are not soft and not hard, they're just nicely in between, which is brilliant for dry brushwork. So I'm going to use a bit of this now on the water to try and get the sparkle and the dry brushwork on the water. First of all, I'm going to mix up some of that darker colour again. I have some from earlier. Don't want too much paint on the brush, just enough to do this dry brushwork. I may use an even broader brush. Let's just see how it goes. We just drag it across the surface, look, and we get this lovely dry brushwork with this. Just dragging it over gently. And I'm going to put the darks of the background in afterwards. At the moment I just want to get this very delicate light. Very delicate light strokes coming through. And remember, we don't just want them horizontally, we want to try and get a feeling of the yacht and so on coming down, the reflections of this yacht coming down through here. On the verticals as well. Dry brushing little bits across. We can use the edge of the brush as well to get these ripples. Gradually build this up gently with the dry brushwork. We've got little swirls going on too. Leaving the light showing through. Very, very handy brushes, these. Mix a little bit more. Take some Prussian. A little bit of ultramarine and Prussian. A wee touch of the brown, and a little bit now of that purple, because there's a little bit more purple going on in the foreground here from the sky as we start to build up these dry brushed areas. This is where my boat at the time was just gently going along, leaving a small weight behind. gradually build these up. I've lost the drawing of my yacht a little bit, but not too worried about that. That's where the land's going to come in a minute, down there. We'll just work out where that's going. So I've got to bring my water right up to there. A little bit more purple, a bit more Prussian, a little bit more of everything. Drag this across. I think the ripples show. We can let the little wavelets come in by using the brush across like this, look. I'm going to go darker into this in a minute, but we're not doing wet into wet effects into this, because actually I've already done those, haven't I? I did that, if you remember, when I did this light background to shimmer through. Going to go darker still. I'm going to drop just a little bit while it's still wet. Then I'm going to drop a little bit of this into those wet areas, just to give a slight feeling of. Now then, we've got to start looking at our the side of it here. A bit more brown. I'm going to go all the way along and up to there, and down with this. Right up to there, and I need to just start making some reedy effects. The edge is a bit more broken. Right back down to here. Flat brush is very useful, because if you want to paint square windows, if you don't want a round brush for a square hole, do you? So we'll use a square brush, and I want to now bring these ripples out a bit to here. You can see how I can gradually darken up these areas, and the feeling of this swirling water. Using those three colours, the Prussian, purple and burnt sienna. I'm going to take a little bit of my cerulean from earlier because I want a little bit more blue going on. The sky's reflection back here. Just to cool it down a little bit. And I'm using the brush strokes in a slight perspective angle now to bring the water out towards us, to get the feeling of distance and depth. To where the eye gets led into it. Getting darker as I go along. We've almost got our foreground done for this. Just a little bit more. More purple down here, a bit darker. I need to do the bank the other side. Just bring that through there, up here. And we need to just gently look at the reeds and rushes there too, I think. So it's not a hard edge. Little trees and bushes that are coming up in the background. And then those stick out slightly into the come up. we are. Now I need to go down to a smaller brush. A bit more into here, a bit more texturing going on with that same colour. I have time now to have a go at painting in this yacht in the centre here. So I'm going to mix up quite a dark colour again. I'm going to use some of that purple. A little bit of the brown to make it a bit darker. Just a bit more richness into it. I'm going to need this brown in a minute to go over some of the blues here as well, because I'm not quite the colour I want. Now that boat is coming down here from, so just over halfway, which is about there. Again, we've got a little bit of light left on top of it, so we'll leave that highlighted out. It comes up to the bow. All of that is dark. Which means that we've got reflection coming down. A slight wake behind the boat. We use a little bit of dry brushwork as it sparkles back there. We can find a little bit of these darker lines. Now, I need to get that mast in. Down that way. Making the brush into a blade so that it gives me a very fine line like that. And then I'm going to change the angle of that mast slightly. A little bit too much there. Just soften that down a bit behind there, a little bit darker so that light shows out. I'm just going to use a little bit of white again, just to bring some of the sparkle back in the distance there. But this time I'm going to use another little trick. Rather than use white paint, I'm going to use a little bit of pastel, but I've just gone over too much with it. Bring back out these highlights back here. I just lost it a little bit. We can just get the feeling of the sparkle with a bit of pastel, which is very useful. Often if you lose a picture you can bring it out again with a little bit of pastel. Just get the sparkle back in that water just by little touches and dashes here and there. I could have used masking fluid for these light areas, but rather than do that it's much easier just to put the wash over and just enjoy and relax, and then come back in later with a bit of pastel like this. We can bring out some of the light blues of the sky now. So we used acrylic last time, and this time I'm using a little bit of pastel. There we go. Just gives that little extra sparkle feeling of the water. Brush with the water and just bring some of this pastel back a bit and link it in with the watercolour itself so it doesn't stand out quite so much. Because you can paint with this pastel with water, remember, as well. So there we are, there's the painting finished, pure watercolour with a little touch of pastel at the end.